Hey there, Dr. Alan Christianson here. We got a great question sent in on our Facebook about how to raise testosterone. Sam asked us how he could eat foods to make his testosterone levels higher. And really cool question. I want to really go above and beyond and give some depth on the significance of this. So testosterone is a hormone that helps our body repair. It's also a way to gauge what our current state of health is, and I'll explain that better. So in our bodies, we're always breaking down and we're always rebuilding, and you need this balance. As kids, we're rebuilding faster than we're breaking down, and we grow, and we get bigger and taller. As adults, that levels out, and ideally, our repair keeps up with our breakdown. Somewhere along the way, the repair slows and the breakdown gets the upper hand. That's all aging is. So all those facets of health are we building as quick as we're breaking? We want to keep those things steady. Testosterone within healthy ranges is one of the better predictors of our repair processes. How well we fix our tendons, our ligaments, our muscles, our bone, our skin and nails. How they regenerate is a function of how much testosterone we've got. To a point, we need it. We do produce it. Now, there are times to where we make less, and with perimenopause or menopause for women, that can come down by fair amounts, especially if they've had surgeries and they've had their uterus or ovaries taken. Men, we've got this thing called andropause. We can make a lot less somewhere around our mid-40s to mid-50s. There's also this way in which our total level of adrenal function can also influence our testosterone. Many of these hormones come from multiple sources. So we make testosterone from ovaries/testicles, but also from our adrenal glands. And the healthier and more resilient they are, the better we produce it. So that's what it does. But then it's also a marker. So when we're under a state of just good health and good adaptation, we're thriving, and we're feeling well, we're functioning great. Our stress crisis hormones are low and they're appropriate and they're timed right. That allows us to be in a state of good repair. Now, when that thing is flipped, when we're in the state of crisis and we're just surviving and just barely functioning and not really having fun, our repair hormones are compromised. We're not rebuilding. We're all break down, just get through the moment. So measuring it, it's also a bit of a marker of your resiliency. So how much you make affects how resilient you are, and it tells us where you are in that continuum. So the more you have good quality sleep, the more you have brisk, short-term, intense exercise, the more you have healthy, deep, engaging relationships, including physical relationships, the more your body will produce testosterone. And having said that, there are some ways in which your nourishment in your foods can make that better or worse. And we'll talk about all those. So some things that boost testosterone. Now, there's different mechanisms, and one of the bigger ones is by just keeping you from wasting it. So all your hormones, they get used and they get broken down. So how quickly you break them down, and whether you break them down into things that block the good effects, can shape how that hormone's working. So along these lines, one of my favorites here will be pumpkin seeds. So pumpkin seeds have many cool compounds. They've got a thing called beta-sitosterol. So for guys, it's great for our prostates. It helps them drain easier and not get all clogged up. You always hear about breast cancer, fibrocystic breast disease, how much of a problem that is. It's so true. For men, our prostate's kind of the equivalency. It's similar tissue that responds to our hormones and also our environmental toxin load. So pumpkin seeds are great for that. They're wonderful for both genders. They're a very high source of zinc. And zinc is a nutrient that is used in literally hundreds of chemical reactions, and we can easily be low in zinc. It's very simple to be deficient in, and pumpkin seeds are the second highest source of that. I want to give you a little depth in pumpkin seeds. There's green and there's white. So what's the difference? So the green ones, also called pepitas, they have been hulled. Now the white ones, there's actually two versions. Some have the inedible husk, and some have the membrane, the white membrane. That's the stuff you really want. There's the white part around them that actually contains the beta-sitosterol, which is really good for the prostate and the immune system. Now, if you look, you can find some that have that and are maybe just dry roasted, maybe a little sea salt, but not like a whole lot of weirdness. So you want to avoid all the strange ingredients and all the artificial flavors. But yeah, the white ones are great for that. The green ones are still really good for the zinc. So speaking of zinc, zinc is a big deal for forming testosterone, and people can often lack in zinc. So the number one food source, like way ahead of number 2 by a lot, that would be oysters. Love them or hate them, but if they're foods that you can negotiate getting in on a regular basis, they can really transform your health. Even a serving a week can make a big difference on your zinc status. And that does include measurable shifts in testosterone for many, and big improvements in corollary effects of testosterone, such as libido, such as exercise recovery. Those are things oysters legitimately can help with. They can make a difference. A couple ways to go. Look at high quality markets, like Whole Foods or Sprouts type markets, and be savvy about the sources of them and how to cook them, or get them from better restaurants. But there are many sources of clean, high quality oysters nowadays that are readily available. So other good foods, so here's a favorite, and that's going to be broccoli. And broccoli has compounds that keep us from making bad estrogens. So testosterone, some of it gets converted to estrogen. And here's a crazy thing we're going to learn more about in the future. Guys need estrogen. A decade back, it was kind of radical to say women need testosterone. Now it's totally accepted. But guess what? Guys need some estrogen. You don't want too little. We've got data gathering now that when men have too little, there are health problems like brain aging and bone aging. So we need some, but we can easily get too much. So broccoli has many good compounds that help us regulate that. So we make good amounts, but not excessive amounts. You may hear concerns about broccoli harming your thyroid function. If you're somewhere living to where there is common goitrous activity, a lot of people have goiters because of iodine deficiency, then this effect is very small and subtle. If you're in any other parts of the modern world where we fortify iodine in our salt, the effect is nil. It's not at all relevant. So have your broccoli, enjoy it. It's good stuff. Another big food that I love for a lot of reasons would be Brazil nuts. So we also need selenium for producing testosterone and allowing our cells to respond more effectively to it. And we can easily get low in selenium. Now, Brazil nuts, they're so dang potent that you actually could get too many. 2 or 3 a day on average, good stuff. You would not need more than that, but a few make a big difference. So you can get more of something or you can lose less of something. And here's some ways you can lose less of it. So some other common parts of the diet work against your body's production and use of testosterone. And public enemy number 1 is going to be fructose. So this is the most dangerous part of sugar. And ironically, even things like fruit juices or dried fruits, they've got fructose also. So in terms of actual amounts, you want to keep your sugar intake, especially fructose, down to a few grams per meal at the most. So really avoid all the dense sources of that, all the processed foods that contain it. If that sounds like a big step to take, give it a shot for a week and go 100%. Now here's my motivation for saying that. I've seen time and again that if someone tries to reduce their sugar intake, they're still in that craving cascade. They're still getting enough to be addicted, and they're struggling and they're fighting. They're having to exert a lot of willpower. But if you actually ditch this stuff for a week, it's not a big deal. Your taste buds change, your brain chemistry changes, and your blood sugar improves, and you won't be missing it. We think so often that our cravings are core elements of our personality or our psychology, and many are not. Many are just functions of our blood sugar getting thrown all around and beat up, and that's what a lot of sugar cravings are. So ditch the stuff, don't look back, make it a week, it'll be easy. The other big thing, of course, that works against testosterone would be alcohol. And there has been some talk in the public press and popular literature about alcohol promoting health. And honestly, from looking hard at the data, I don't really see that. There are ways in which, if your blood is thin because of alcohol, you're less apt to have a stroke or heart attack. No debate that way. But you can also get that from fish, or from nuts and seeds, or from garlic or ginger. So the same benefits you can get easily elsewhere. The detriments, alcohol causes our fat, especially, to make very dangerous estrogens that block testosterone. And it puts our body into a state also of harming our brain cells. So papers have shown that your brain volume, and the size of your brain as you age, Dr. Dan Amen, he's like the brain doctor. His joke is that when it comes to your brain, size does matter. So you want to have your brain volume sustained. Every serving of alcohol you have, even like one a week, you have less brain volume than those that have less of it. So there are clear detriments. And cancer, women in breast cancer, if you're above 3 small servings a week, every amount's raising your breast cancer risk higher and higher. Many have argued that 90% of cancers are obesity, tobacco, and alcohol. So those are the big 3 that really drive it. So it is a strong carcinogen. Me personally, I'm sure I have my biases. I don't have the strongest liver. I would never function I couldn't be a functional alcoholic. Way too weak of a liver. I probably have about 6 to 10 per year, if even that. And I don't formally not drink, but I've just noticed that when I do, my functionality is down for days. I'm not at my sharpest, and I'm not performing at my physical best. So I'd rather be better for longer periods of time than just have a short-term period of time of being disoriented. So easy thing to raise your testosterone, raise your vitality, drop the alcohol. If that's not compelling enough, think about your skin. So each serving is also damaging your collagen layers. So your skin ages faster and becomes wrinkly much more quickly because of the collagen loss. So last big food as far as affecting testosterone would be wheat. And no shortage of data beating up wheat nowadays, but it does have detrimental hormonal effects in terms of shifting your testosterone estrogen subtype ratios. And this is even separate from its roles with celiac disease or as an intolerant food or affecting digestion. It is simply more of an estrogenic type food. So lower the wheat, the sugar, the alcohol, have some oysters if you can stomach them. You may acquire the taste. I personally love them. Throw in some Brazil nuts, some pumpkin seeds, some broccoli. Big picture is, sleeping and relationships and connections and freeing up your time and managing your body's whole fight or flight state, good targeted training. And you can become more energized, recover from exercise better and enjoy it more. So take great care, and we'll talk again real soon.